Are we live?
Are we live?
We're live. I'm sitting in the DM seat for the first time in a hot minute in a live game over here.
And
it's not-
it says Cobalt Cave, but this isn't about Cobalt Cave.
No, I didn't edit that.
Do we need to edit it real quick?
We could throw bonus roundtable up there, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, she's on it. She knows what
she
she's
got
doing.
it. She got it. It should be underneath titles.
She's an expert.
Yeah, but no. Where do I click it to actually adjust it?
Click on the one that says Jed.
Huh?
All right, hold on. I'll be right back.
Oh my god. Ooh.
No, it says titles.
No, click it. Scroll down to where it says Jed. But just
Oh,
type.
okay.
My bad. I did not explain things before I sat on this end of
Boy.
the table.
Boy, you cannot get into my lap like that. You
We're-
do have nice paws, though.
We are talking about a puppy, by the way, y'all.
We're 100% professional here
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
we are professional podcasters / actual players / streamers. We know what we're doing.
After like 3.5, 5 years, maybe.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, since 2019?
yeah, 2019.
2018.
Because of the fact that was
Did we
whenever.
actually stream in 18?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Did we?
that the 24-hour game.
Yeah, that was the first big stream.
Yeah, and then it was that.
No, that had to be 19 because we only had 5 extra lives.
I mean
was
that
either
this
18 or 19.
that this would be that the sixth one coming up.
No, I think it had to have been 2018 because we had a stream before in 2019 before the pandemic.
Yeah,
I think I might be right. Oh, God.
yeah.
We did,
I mean,
well, no, we've done 2 at my house, 3 at Kyle's.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Wow.
5. That this would be year number 6.
Wow.
But yeah, there is a empty side. Well, no, it's not empty because we have.
Come on, Pupper.
But yeah. So yeah, today we are doing a retrospective.
Of the Darrowan campaign, yeah. And the reason I'm on this end of the table is because I got the questions.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to be the DM table, and we also can set our mics up in front of us, like
So that
professionals.
everybody has their own microphone as we do this.
Oh yeah.
Nate and Jed both had to,
Yeah, life gets in the way, but
like, Jed, father of 3.
and Nathan, like you, is a school teacher, and he's also getting ready for a wedding.
Yeah. We gotta go get sized for suits.
Oh God, oh, I need to lose this.
Anyway, so we're here to reflect upon our Darrowan campaign. Now, we did this with Coin and Craft, which was the off-stream test of a lot of mechanics. So we need to talk about what may or may not have worked. If someone will... Wait, am I the only one with Jed's number?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Where's my phone? Right here. I got to keep my phone out because we asked Jed to listen on stream and throw in his thoughts.
Okay.
I will remind him because he got home and there's kids.
Yeah.
So let me just tell this to him. Streaming.
Now, we're
Watch
streaming.
if you can.
Hey Jed, we are on
Comment,
the
please.
stream.
Commenter, please. So,
Comment and reply, like, thank you, subscribe.
Darrowan is our first larger scale produced Sunday game.
And it's also the first game that we're actually doing a new format that we decided to start doing, which is an episodic format.
Right. So this is us trying to move into what we want to do more regularly with a lot of our, especially in-person streams.
Yeah.
We're going to probably break up some of the streams for the online games as well. I think we might, after we finish up this section of Shades, that we might roll into an off-stream game just to do a palate cleanser and then come back to the world that was created in Holy Winds. So we got that going on. But the first question I have for everybody And DM, you can chime in with select one of your NPCs for this question. When you were making your character for Darrowan, what was the first note that you had for what you wanted in your character?
Yeah. Y'all
Like
go first.
the first little chiming note of what would become your character.
I think mine for Tola was I liked the world building surrounding the Une or the Un.
I think we've already said it's Une now.
Yeah.
I like that better.
I liked the world building of having them being a very like Middle Eastern or East Indian influence type of culture. Because that's not usually in various settings, doesn't matter if we're talking Tolkien-esque or if we're talking just regular Forgotten Realms, orcs are brutes, not culturally sophisticated. And I liked the spin of having them be the OG, like the oldest culture that has been hit the hardest by this calamity, and they're trying to rebuild through various means. Yeah. I liked that.
Essentially, like, the traditional bruteness of the Une or the orcs comes from the fact of necessity, not because they're, like, inherently brutish. We try to, like, when it comes to Yuta and the entire world, like this racial essentialism that you tend to see in D&D, we try to kind of work past that. Like even we talk about the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth are all like bird people. They're the Oven. Y'all see Oven all the time, and the Oven aren't like, they're not all magic hating racist. But yeah, that was the biggest thing that inspired us to make the Une that way.
I mean, that's just generally when I'm like, I like to build characters that have an essential flaw or an essential twist or an essential spin, and having a fully developed culture to then build a character out of that just kind of really, like, I knew I was going to build an Une. Once I read that, I knew I was going to build an Une. And then with the whole, like, that was the initial seed, was just, I'm going to be an Une. Making the decisions to become a divination wizard for this specifically came from, because of the shade and everything, and, like, you wanted us to have an item, one of our, like, legendary items that's specific to the character. I was like, I'm not a great I struggle with, like, puzzling. And so I was like, I wanted to have some mechanical ways to, like, influence that a little bit. And so, like, Divination Wizard just kind of opened to that. So I mean, that was the initial spark for Tola, was I knew I was going to build an Une, and then because we're hunting for lost artifacts, I was like, gotta go Divination Wizard.
It's a good choice. But, yeah.
I
think Spencer's still thinking.
Okay. No. I mean, I think that for Drusilla, that I think that the thing is that whenever then that was really and truly that what had got me was not about the fact of being like that the old-blooded, which I think that is very great, because that for those at home, that the old-blooded were just essentially like a reskinned ASMR race, because then we don't always, up in like D&D games and stuff, especially shop games or so, that they tend to kind of gloss over that the fact of like ASMR are basically, like divine angelic beings and whatnot. And so basically for them to kind of be like regarded as just like, oh, that you are an old-blooded one, like what wisdom or anything that you seek, and then it's, or just stuff like that, then it's just, for me, I think that it is above all that the mystery about like what had like led up to like Drusilla's execution, because that I know from just like my first thought of creating the character was that she was a protector, old-blooded one who had lost her status, and she woke up as that this fallen angel type archetype, but yet at the same time that she's the dark brooding dark knight of the party. So but she isn't the mean, dark, brooding type. But I think that for me, as soon as we get more up into like the Palingard situation and stuff, especially with just like DM Chris here, that he basically knows that I am into that mystery solving kind of mindset about like what in the world is it going to do. And finally, I just think that Eldritch Knight for me was I was going to go a more like cold, kind of like just like cold damage, and then like I wanted to go necro until that necromancy was deemed outlawed, so it's just like I can just go evocation instead. I mean, with healing, go.
Like the biggest thing that I like of it, like when we were talking about the old blooded, it's one of the lineages I came up with. I mean, a lot of the lineages are like to make sure that we can have as much overlap as possible with D&D. But what I like about it is like you haven't even gotten to the point to where you've like seen people venerate you yet.
Right.
Because there's this whole idea, whether it's misguided or not, that the old blooded are like somehow like elevated to be great. And like I'm ready to like for you to get into like a bigger area where you have more diverse people, and also where you get to see the Palingard, because Palingard are like they're basically, you could consider them like the EPA or like the who is it, the National Forest. They're kind of like that, and mixed in with like they're construction workers almost. They have like different jobs they do.
So, like the CCC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. CCC is a good
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Civilian Conservation Corps.
Yeah.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt put them in place during the mid 50s.
But they also like go and research artifacts, and they're also again, they're at war with just about everybody because everybody wants magic items.
I mean, that I know up in games, then we are basically not like, relax whenever it's just a party and stuff, that I try to make it to be like she always has her helmet on, because then that, I guess for me, that she don't want to be regarded as that yet, know. But
yeah, she doesn't want to be looked at
hide
as
it
like,
till you can use it.
Yeah.
Hide it till you're ready for it. Yeah. Well, also because she's fallen now. She's not as she was, so makes sense.
But yeah. Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, you can.
I want to hear about I want to
Yeah,
know where the
Vernon.
spark for Vernon came from.
Okay. Vernon's spark comes from two things. The song "Hell's Coming With Me,"
Okay. I've never heard that
which we have actually fully followed that storyline already.
Okay, yeah.
Mostly because there's one line, "I'm the righteous hand of God, I'm the devil that you forgot." My favorite line of that song is actually, "I'll pay the devil twice as much to keep your soul." I almost went Pact of the Fiend with Vernon, but it wouldn't have given me
The stuff you needed.
the 6-shooter that I wanted. And that's where the other bit of influence comes from, is the book Man at Arms from the Discworld series. That is why it's called the Gone, Gonne, not the gun.
Yeah.
And in the book, the Gone is a very dangerous weapon that talks through people and possesses them. And I was like, this sounds like a great element for a warlock. And originally I talked to Chris about being a sharpshooter that had a cursed weapon, but it still didn't thematically really fit. And then the other thing with it is I wanted to go a different way with Vernon as a warlock, because this is the third partial.
You make a lot of warlocks.
Warlocks are fun for story, though.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Mechanically, they're a bitch, but like story-wise,
they're okay. They're a very good mixer class.
I mean, if you sprinkle a little warlock on your paladin parfait, it makes the flavor a little bit better. But when I played Phil was not open about being a warlock.
He was not.
Right.
But no one asked. They'd go, magic. Eldritch Blast is a wizard spell. Phil honestly would have said yes without lying, because he's like, wizards know all magic, so legit they.
And I mean, that's
like, you could say cure wounds, that's a wizard spell, and Phil would have been like, right, yeah, that's fucking wizards. But no, Vernon, Nate kind of skipped over it when I did it the first time, and then the second time someone asked me, and I just word salad in Vernon's very hard to understand voice. The whole situation with the gaunt. Vernon's open about it. He's like,
Yeah.
dang old, yeah, I kill people on the spinny spin and on my arm, and then all of a sudden it gets stronger. He comes back. I help him. He scratch me, scratch him. Yeah.
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 That's the situation with Vernon. He's going to be very open with it. I mean, so far, Vernon has teased and played, but Vernon has not outright lied to anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
even it's like, this was an accident. Nope, did it on purpose. Like, that situation. Like, if anyone goes, y'all killed him. Yep. That's going to be Vernon. Like, he's not going to lie about it. I'll be honest, Vernon is an open book. And the only reason, like when you said he pulled a Ford, is that no, Vernon didn't pull a Ford. He's not faking his accent. He just slowed the fuck down thinking someone couldn't understand him. So if Vernon ever, like, if I don't do the faux boomhauer, it is Vernon intentionally slowing down so people know what he's saying because he knows that he gets blown off a lot.
He has that issue where, like, because of his accent, if no one's from Reggiesburg,
Well, it's kind of like if you ever hear someone that's from Huntsville, Alabama, they work for NASA. They know the trajectory for re-entry on a space capsule. But dango if they don't sound like this, woo, roll tide type situation. So you don't... Vernon actually has a bonus to his intelligence score.
yeah. Yeah, so when it comes to the NPCs, generally my, like, outlook is how it... Of course, there's, like, you know, the NPCs that I know you're going to run into because you need to run into and all that. And then there's, like, guided NPCs that are there if you need it. So when y'all first got out of the tombs, Arden Fink was there.
Right.
Arden Fink is there because he is he is the NPC that y'all can lean on if you need anything. And that's why he was there. His whole backstory with him being part of the Explorators League was... It wasn't written for this. It was something I had an idea in mind, but it literally got me the idea to kind of flesh out the Explorators League.
We got a comment.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's Jan.
From Jed, the inspiration for Sir Reginald originally came from the 1999 cinematic masterpiece starring Brendan Fraser, The Mummy. Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Jet-
fair.
uh,
That's fair.
Jet-
That track.
Reginald is based off of the pilot from the first Mummy movie.
Yeah, I can see it. I
That-
can see it.
All my boys are dead out in the sand, and I'm here still. What did he?
In the movie, there is an old man that flies the stars back
yes,
to the tomb.
yes.
He's. I think that dude might actually be named Reginald too.
Potentially, but yeah, no.
If it's not Reginald, it's a name like Rupert. It's a very British name.
It is extremely
Yeah.
British.
No, like, the problem with Jed in this game is that
He is the most famous out of all of us.
Yeah.
he's the one that is, like, inspired me to be like, okay, I can do so much stuff, so I have to, like, temper everything I do with him because I want to make sure I'm even-handed with everything. When it comes to Reginald, it's so fun because it's like a character that's like a hero in the world. Someone that's had, like, so much stuff. So I'm always falling back on things like, okay, how can I add, like, things here and there?
Says he is wasting away of whiskey and booze.
That is how Reginald went out.
That's
Yeah.
how Reginald went out. And, well, in The Mummy, the pilot,
Crashed. That
Yeah.
was
Right.
the quicksand took him.
yeah. But yeah,
It's not a spoiler if the movie's nearly 30 years
Oh
old.
my god,
Yeah,
it is.
it hurts.
Oh.
That movie is a bisexual masterpiece.
It is absolutely the best.
Yeah, I do love the number of memes right now that my sexual orientation is the
The cast of the Mummy.
the cast of the Mummy.
The
Yeah.
And I went and looked at it.
1990.
I went and looked at it and went, yeah, Yeah, because like even the dweeby derpy brother who I didn't think would like register on that, when he shows up in a suit at the right angle, it's like you are the Yamcha of this crew, and somebody would still say smash.
No, he has that charm about him because
He
he's
does.
like,
He
just
also
comes in.
let's be honest. Let's break down the brother,
They
right?
all hot.
Let's break down the brother from the Mummy
Let's
real
not
quick.
get too far off.
No, quick breakdown. Like, because I always want to like kind of shit on Jonathan because he's the fool. He is the lovable. What's the trope for that called? He's the lovable.
Got the lovable oath.
The lovable oath, but he actually hits the actual definition of that trope from like way back in the day. It's not like he's just a derp.
Well,
it's just that he's the pratfall guy.
It gets easy to forget the setting, because it's such a timeless movie in a way. But it's set just after World War One, and Jonathan he's a vet. Like they don't talk about it really. It's not overt,
Right?
But he's a vet. He is a sharpshooter. In Mummy 2, he's the one who manages to take care of the big issues to, keep the Scorpion King from becoming, the ruler of everything. Jonathan
becoming a giant bad CG.
PS1 graphics, PS1 The Rock from.
But Jonathan, the reason that he's such an oaf, the reason that he's the rogue, the down on his luck, always stealing things and making things hard for Evie, is because he's dealing with a lot of survivor's guilt because he came back and his squad didn't.
Well, the other thing with it is he can translate Egyptian,
right?
Just
he is
not
just
as not as good as his sister. He can't translate quite as good as her.
He's not a reincarnated Egyptian lady.
Also, he's not an academic.
Yeah.
He's not as good of a fighter as
because he's a sharpshooter. He's a sniper.
Yeah, he's long range. But if that dude doesn't hit a 18 plus on any dex save he's got to make, like he looks less because of who he stands next to.
Right, but he's kind of the foil to the pilot character. Reggie had such a loose backstory, and Chris really brought it alive. Both Reggie and Darrowan are now interconnected and are a living tale where nothing is set in stone until we say it in game.
Yeah, right. We made sure he was woven into everything.
Yeah.
Like I started making jokes with you, and then Chris is like, "I am writing down everything Jed says now."
Well, the whole idea of mana shrimp was a throwaway, and
now it's like the core mechanic for our spellcaster.
Yeah, and then you were like, "Yeah, in Reggiesburg, they farm mana shrimp," and then Scrimblebottom came in, and I was like, okay, Scrimblebottom is a farmer.
He's literally farming mana shrimp.
I mean, that's just the nature of just that interactive storytelling that D&D has altogether. Yeah. I mean, it's just basically that, especially whenever that, I love the fact that you have been doing this, that you just give us just a name of like NPCs and then that you have the players explain them, and then that is what I also do for my players sometimes during that Our Monster of the Week podcast. Is basically I give them a name and then that they give me the description, and that gives me a chance to kind of like connect to see what they are thinking about and then come up with a crazy accent, voice, mannerisms, etc.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm honestly waiting until if we make it to, like, the other side of the Crystal Band, if we make it to the Crimson Belt, like, I'm expecting that myself and maybe Ren, Nate's character,
right.
Nate are gonna be the ones having to,
y'all are gonna get so many index cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this actually leads into the next question I had, or one of the other questions I had is, and this kind of goes mostly towards Chris, but it also hits the rest of us. What elements of the story have been player added?
Oh, do I need to answer that first?
Yeah, you start this one off. What elements of the story have been? Well, let's
give you a pass though. You don't have to reveal anything that's still secret.
No, nothing that's like ongoing, but just like what's already happened. What elements that have popped up in the story, something that's now become canon, are 100% player created?
Well, he's already said mana shrimp.
Well, yeah, the mana shrimp. Yeah. That's why it kind of pushed this question that was going to be later.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's like, there's a lot of stuff, like, okay, so Jed's character, for one, was not supposed to be as big of a thing. honestly, when I came into this, I my first prompt was like, "Y'all are heroes. Y'all can be as big as you want to be."
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the big things,
Mhm.
and like Jed being like,
Jed
"Okay,
being Jed.
yeah, I want to be this big hero." Now Jed's character is pretty much everywhere in the western half of Utah. Um, when it comes to some of the stuff with the Une, like I was like I was pronouncing it differently, and then you started like talking about like different things you wanted to do, and in terms of like how the academic system works and everything, and that affected how I wanted it. But ultimately, it's been like a kind of like see how things pan out. Like I have an idea of where I want to go. Like I had an idea of who was going to be the first person to get the artifact of legend.
Was it
Was it?
Vernon?
It was Vernon.
Okay.
And it wasn't like calculated in the sense it's like, you know, you're gonna get it first and then you're gonna get it first. I kind of just like rolled a die to see who would be the first one, but you ended up being the first one, so it kind of started leaning on you to start like filling out that story a bit. So when you started talking about Reggiesburg and when you started doing that, that's when I started filling things out. And again, it's like one of those things where it's like a back and forth that really turns into something much funner, much cooler, because now you know Reggiesburg's part of our world, and it's a really cool place, and it has a lot of cool people, and you managed to like really like bring in stuff to make it like just so much more fleshed out. So I would say a lot of it is like I make guide rails for y'all to follow, but those guide rails are pretty wide. Like
That makes sense.
so y'all have a lot of influence on where things go. And also my own influence, like I've been fishing recently, so yeah, Springle
Right.
Bottom.
We didn't
We know.
notice.
Yeah,
we never
yeah.
noticed that
Oh
you
my
picked up
god!
fishing.
Really?
Yeah.
Never would have figured it.
It was a complete surprise.
I mean-
it was out.
Frankly, Diane, I am surprised.
I mean, I will say for Drusilla's part, I mean that like that. I know whenever that we were sitting up in that the hotel, I mean that sorry, Ian just rather, and then that we were all just talking about our relics and stuff. That you know, like Jed was basically just telling me, it's just like, dude, that your relic is badass because I remember just seeing just like this image of just like this horned skull, and then I'm like, I have been playing a lot of Dark Souls and Elden Ring, so then I'm just
no,
like,
really?
I know, but anyway, then it's just basically like that. I wanted
That's me as well.
that you know that I had just wanted that you know that I had wanted to actually go a bit sword and board. So then I'm just like Darth Maul head on like a on like a half or else that a handle as just that a warhammer, cool weapon. But regardless, you know to kind of like stay on topic a bit here, that I think that you know, as soon as more stuff about the Palangar does come up, that I am going to like get because that Drusilla does have a last name. She hasn't shared it yet.
Ah.
Fair enough. I think I was in absentia on the day when y'all were actually sitting in the tavern in the inn and talking about.
And Nate's character
artifacts.
Ren having hot wings.
Yeah, Nate having the negative effects of eating too many hot wings.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's without spoiling too much because it's gonna be a while if ever before we get to the other side of the crystal band. But I think I've said it a few times before. My artifact thing is it's basically just the book, like the ultimate research dissertation that Tola spent her life working on, dealing with finding the capital that's still like bound in the shade, the Une capital. And the whole entire thing is it's not it was still unfinished. and part of the story that I built into all of this was that in the Une capital, much like in the Great Library at Strixhaven, supposedly there was a tome of magic that had a copy of every spell ever cast within Utah, but it's lost in the capital. And so like that was kind of like my whole entire life goal, was to research and find how to get into the Shade, how to get into the capital, and find the tome. And succeeded, but the tome is destroyed.
Right.
And so my dissertation, my book is the only relic like left, but I died in the capital. And so like we'll have to basically repeat Tola's last journey to try to get it back, unless it's already been recovered, in which case, who knows?
Right. And then I just think that for like my relic, because that meta-wise that I'm picturing it maybe +2. I don't want to be overpowered with it to be a +3 or something, but what I'm basically picturing that this Warhammer is one of two things. That it is basically because that everybody knows that Drusilla is like a beefy gal in a sense. What it is probably like somebody that was against the Palangard, and then that Drusilla possibly may have used a skull for just the base of the hammer.
I mean, you do what you gotta do to make an impression.
Actually, I think you can give more insight on the.
Without spoiling anything, the what Chris is handing out as our items is a levelable.
Levelable.
Yeah, there we go.
Legible
It
and
levels
levelable.
up.
Yeah.
It levels up. Trying to make an adverb out of it or adjective doesn't really work,
Right.
but it's something that can level with you, and it is beyond a normal magical weapon. It is a hero's weapon. It is
Right.
It is a poignant piece of world history that you'll be wielding, because we're not. Oh, yeah, level 3 party got wiped out by a dragon.
We almost did that.
Yeah.
Then we didn't.
I could have done it.
We could have done it.
I could have done it.
Jed said we were 3 points
I
away.
know. I still had
wiping
15
her.
HP.
It was great. My I don't remember all the details, but like the vision that I had for my tome was, because it's unfinished, it wasn't going to be like
Right.
fully capable at the time of recovery. But once it was fully finished, it was going to function like an Ioun stone of sorts, where
Right.
it gives you like that, like it allows your max to go above 20 and stuff. He said so metal.
So
I think referring
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
for
the
that.
Darth Maul head mace.
Yeah, it's something that will play, and Chris giving it to me first, I think I can kind of understand why he did that, because Chris and I've talked a lot about how the Gone works, because it's not something that fits Yuta, which I didn't want it to be. I want it to be.
Yeah.
Vernon carries something that is like, it was like, oh, we got these pump weapons, we got these pressure weapons. Vernon shows up and is like, oh, he's got to pump it up. Pop.
Yeah.
And to be clear, like, Yuta is a place where weird shit happens.
Yeah.
So
Like, that's just kind of part and parcel.
what did Jed say?
Reggie is built around the idea that he somehow lives through luck and a high AC. I picked a helm for him with the idea of extra protection.
Exactly. So, I mean, the
Right.
big thing, though, is Chris could figure out how to design the gun belt for the Gone, which is an extension of the Gone itself, on how it is to function based on me and him talking repeatedly, because we do a podcast. Chris shows up and does science with my kid.
Art Legos. We say that,
Right over here off screen, people on the internet, is a stack of Legos that we have from Christmas and birthday that I try to tell him, hey, let's build them. No, Chris isn't here.
You are Lego man.
more than you think. It's not just like...
No, Chris is indentured servitude to my child. He's
Yeah,
like, you build it,
yeah.
not watch.
It's like, it starts out like, yeah, we're putting together Legos, and then it just ends with me going, putting them together.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that what Chris is doing is he's watching how everybody plays, how everybody personally interacts. what their moral compass seems to be, and he is developing the magic item, your signature item, based on that, which is going to take him a hot minute on several people.
Right.
I mean, I feel like with Nate's character's like, it goes smack hard.
I mean, that mine is
Yeah.
going to. I feel like the mine is going to smack hard, and then that do cold damage. But basically, like, hey, allow me to put a little bug up in your ear, DM Chris, and basically take some inspiration on, like, if you're gonna level it up with just Drusilla, treat it kind of like, you know, that these sockets may have like some Palangar tech gems in it that can do like extra magical effects or something. Kind of sort of like Cloud's Materia Buster Sword with only his two slots.
She just starts twisting the handle.
Well, I'm hearing like you remember that what was it, the rod? I think it's the Rod of Lordly Might that has the different buttons that you can push for different effects, and that's a legendary like artifact.
I mean that, and considering with that the Palangar, that it can basically just be like just one gem is shock damage, the other one cold, etc.
There's I mean, you can give some insight with your weapon.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but y'all have all seen what I've done with the first
level
of it. But moving into the next question, and it's connected to this. With some of the odd mechanics that we've now played, all of us in the room right now have now played a second game using the first it was called Craft and now it's called Echoes.
Mm-hmm.
A semi-renewable, but not like a long rest renewable resource.
Yeah.
What's everybody's opinion on this continued mechanic that we're rolling with?
I'll go first and say that I really enjoy it. I like the flavor of it as Echoes. I like the flavor a little more than with Craft. Like Craft was basically just hero points, which is still good and I like it. We're in another game that has hero points right now, and it's a good model if you want to get started with that sort of stuff. I think the thing that I like most about Echoes is it feeds into that, like that party co-op mentality because it is a cross party. Like each of us can contribute to regaining it because we each have our singular right now speak with the dead capability per long rest. So we can each feed into that. We just have to find some bodies to talk to or just heads or whatever we can find. But then when we go around to use them, we kind of have to, like, because especially with some of us have got more expensive
you got the
things
most
to
expensive.
use.
I need to reprint that one or get it back from me again. That Vernon did get from the get-go the most expensive Echo use that we have not used at all. However,
we're getting to the point where we could like start gauging into using it. It's the same thing.
Well, the thing is with range spells like Eldritch Blast or firing the Gaunt itself being a ranged attack, that ability all of a sudden to turn it into basically a small fireball is starting to become now more of a reality because it's not like, oh, it's a D6, everybody. Now it's moved up to a D8, and eventually it's going to move up another damage dice. So eventually it's going to become something that is
pretty substantial
when things are really crowded. And especially if you're sitting on a nat 20.
Yeah.
I think he just deposed something else.
Yeah, he did.
In the case of Echoes, I find myself much like a guy in a video game. Like, I'm playing and collecting things, and I'm scared to use them because we may need the points later.
To be fair, that I kind of echo that. That is something with with the Echoes that I will echo in this Echo. Is that, I mean, I have the most expensive one. Like, my other one is I can cash in one Echo to basically give people expeditious retreat, or give them a climb and swim speed.
I mean, you can also gain Echo abilities that are not, like, just to be clear, like anyone who is watching this and has been watching Darrowan, y'all also, not only do you get abilities that you can use Echoes on, you get passive abilities that
Well,
it's like,
my plus weapon proficiency, my medium armor proficiency.
I mean, so far I've picked up that I can sporadically give someone a run and climb speed and a swim speed.
I think you got Did you get Gift of Alacrity?
I got Gift of Alacrity.
Okay.
So
I-
once, as a warlock, I get a 1 freebie casting of that.
Yeah, then I had got the one to add the extra necro or else radiant damage to my attacks, and then I had also got one to where that I can get advantage on like investigation or else arcana checks.
Okay, yeah.
I think with regards to the fear of like not regaining them quickly enough to get more like usage out of them, that's going to become less and less of an issue the deeper into it we get, because our speak with the dead potential is gauged off of half of our player or proficiency bonus.
Yeah.
And so once that creeps up another one, and we go from
Yeah, you'll have 3.
right, well, we'll have 2.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Because it's half of our proficiency, and
Oh,
we're
right,
at
right.
we're at 3 proficiency right now, and it rounds down.
Yeah, right.
So,
So once we go up to 4
I'm
proficiency
the DM.
bonus, we each get 2. That's 5 party members with 2 speak. That's a 10 echoes on a single long rest regen,
Well-
which is not as bad.
Well, the whole reason that not Vernon probably would do it, but the player, have not fired off his echo ability is it in the party's
I'll be
better,
right back. Y'all keep talking.
Okay.
is it in the party's better interest to leave that resource available for more applicable skills than one big bang?
I mean
Well,
that
I think strategically though, we use like say we're at max 10 echoes in a few levels, right? And we use one of my gusts of darkness for 2 echoes. We use you've got one that does something. Reggie's got something that does something. We utilize 4 or 5 of our 10 echoes that we went into the fight with on other stuff. Go ahead and blow the last of it
Yeah.
on a big boom, and then once we're done, each of us can literally just regen all 10 of those echoes.
True.
Just speaking with the dead that we've killed.
True,
right?
but at the same time, we've not really run into a fight. It would have been super advantageous
Not yet.
to do that yet. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, let me do explosive damage to 3 guys in this corner.
I mean that
It's, I feel like that one, I think it maybe was a little bit early to get it.
It makes,
But we
honestly,
can start planning the strategy around it.
I mean, honestly, it kind of still fits with the
Yeah.
character
Right.
because he's a shotgun now.
Yeah.
right. I mean, for me, that the echoes, because in as that we have talked about with just players from just like my Wednesday game, and then also secretly, it's just basically that I've started giving that the dragon marks that kind of ability.
Right, and we keep forgetting to use it.
Yeah, and
because
then
it came in
that,
kind
and then
of
that
late.
you know that it is going to be more implemented as soon as I do revisions of that campaign, and basically it will be like more special abilities akin to this. So that's why I think that that this mechanic is very useful to use and have. While yes, that it is kind of like video gamey and stuff like that, but it is kind of like sort of like that, that the wondrous physics of Elden Ring, that you get that this one resource that gives you 2 buffs that can just only be like regen whenever you actually take a rest at the Grates or Bonfire, versus just like your flask of healing that each time that you get done with just a little fight or whatever, it just keeps coming back. But I do think that that'll basically be a very good implementation to give more agency to the world and then the story that you are playing. Plus then that it kind of like gives everybody a little bit of talking point of strategy about like that, do I want to burn it to try to get this skill point, or versus that this special skill, could I use it to get something a little bit more extra during combat or else non-combat encounters.
I just like the fact that it's party wide.
Exactly.
And it has a relatively quick turnaround compared to Craved, because Craved was we could only get it on a full respite, or was it on a level up?
No, Craft was set up to where you got it back over a respite, not
Right. A longer version.
not a long rest. Like Chris didn't implement this, but the next time I run a game, I might, if it's D&D. is the idea of something that requires longer than a long rest. Something
Right.
that legit is, you got to take some downtime, which one of the things that is good about Pathfinder Second Edition
Yeah,
is the idea of that much longer rest and what activities you can do in that much longer rest that are like crafting, making, building up skills that might not necessarily come from
yeah.
just your level up.
It's not balanced around the short rest, long rest system.
But that's kind of what I'm liking about the Echoes versus the Crave, is that the Echoes are more like quick turnaround. Like we get stuff back when we finish a fight. We haven't had anybody go down to 0 HP yet, but if we heal somebody up from 0 HP, and then from our Speak with Dead abilities, like those are, like, yes, we may have to wait for them for, a session and a half if we're doing a lot of downtime stuff before we get into another fight where we could get a regen on it. But the fact that it's party wide and it has a quick turnover for regen and use, I like that. And I guess it's a little video gamey, but I don't think it's so video gamey that it breaks the fun of playing a TTRPG.
Like, what I wanted to do was like keep a lot of the main ways you get echoes outside of like the story. So obviously you get echoes when you use your Speak with Dead ability, but that was like something that I wanted y'all to be able to do because I want, like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but the whole idea of the game is life and death.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, really?
Yeah.
I never would have guessed.
Yeah. So part of it is like Speak with Dead and kind of gain these insights into like people's lives and people's ideas. So I wanted y'all to be able to do that, and that's one of the most obvious ways y'all get echoes. But also, I just like when it comes to other ways, it's more passive. Like y'all beat an encounter, you get an echo. You heal someone up, you get an echo. Things like that, where it's not like y'all can y'all. It feels like things that y'all aren't like sitting there like. I mean, I guess y'all could be like, okay, I'm gonna wait until Drusilla is at 0 before I heal her up. I don't think anyone's gonna do that in the party.
No, but those are things that could come more into play the further down the story we go, where the Speak with the Dead might kind of fall behind in how much, like, I feel like there's a good balance between the early game and then the later game potential. Because, like, early game, we are getting more echoes from, like, the various stages of encounters. Like, when we were running through,
New Hope?
Yeah. All the different, like, fight stages we had around New Hope got us echoes on a pretty quick turnaround. So, like, there wasn't that much of a worry about if we were needed to save them or not.
And then
and now we've got, everybody can do their long rest Speak with the Dead, and those are our two mains. The further we go, we're going to be fighting less mobs theoretically, so we're going to have less opportunity for everybody to Speak with the Dead all at once, but we're also going to have more potential to be dropped to 0 HP and stuff like that.
And that before we move on, I just want to play a little bit of the contrarian here, and just basically that I kind of sort of feel like that the echo gainage from that we will still get that the echoes, but that the more that we speak to dead, it's probably going to be a little bit more tougher to gain more information as we like level up, because in that, for me, that the speak to dead thing has been very great as far as in like us getting like extra information about like kind of sort of like that we are going into a situation that is already on fire. We put out the fire, and then that we are figuring out what has caused this fire from like basically the ashes, if you will.
Right, and like I feel like we found that with this last session, because Nate, his Speak with Dead was just to create that personal connection with the guy who a couple of us didn't think should have died, and that's kind of like RP wise it's great, plot wise it's null, it doesn't matter, but it does feed into that life versus death and what the two things mean. in the world of Unity. So like it's all good. I have no complaints with the Echo system
Same
as
here.
it is right now. I can acknowledge the concern about, you know, too much expensive Echo spend versus not enough Echo regen, but we are still in a relatively early stage of the game.
Honestly, my biggest thing with the Echoes I would like to see is that it would be harder to actually get them, so that we have to think about using the power more economically, which was kind of the idea when I implemented Craft. But I'm running with it as it is, and I'm enjoying it. But what you just said actually segues to my next question.
Hell yeah.
What negative or toxic trait of your character, or of character you created, has already surfaced?
Fishing poles.
Yeah. Wait,
We know.
the amount of times I was like, Hewitt, don't kill Scribblebottom. Don't kill Scribblebottom. Don't kill Scribblebottom.
Scribblebottom Must Die, the sequel. To
Just the whole time, Chris, I'm going to go on 10 minutes about this damn fishing
Oh my
pole.
God.
You never did that. It's like there's 3 minutes of fishing pole, but just burning.
To be fair, it was intended to be that way.
I know. Because
Hmm.
what negative or toxic trait of your character has already surfaced?
I will say, whenever that we were up in like that the bullshit museum, pretty much.
I wasn't there.
Yeah,
for
that you
so-
wasn't there. That whenever that you had gave Drusilla just at that flashback memory. Firstly, I do not know why in the world I had like that the Little Rascals Alfalfa Cliff scene playing just in my head about that. But you know that it was starting to kind of hint at that she may have some sort of like Kill Bill vibe, revenge vibe maybe going. If that she was to ever like meet up with that the list of these unnamed NPCs that I might have to get with you to just toss some names out there and such. Because
I
then
have ideas.
because then that with somebody as her greatness as basically being probably like that the leader of her own Palingard troop, I am pretty sure that her redacted last name was feared. And then that you know that this squadron just like, hey, we finally killed her and all of that. I'm pretty sure then that she's gonna feel some type of way if that she gets any wind about that.
I'm gonna take a slight exception to the phrasing of the question. I don't think it's a toxic trait so much as a flaw for me. But
I said negative too. Like,
okay, negative trait. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I got hung up on toxic.
My toxic is masculine. No.
I think that Tola's flaw, Tola's negative trait, is that she, and I'm just now starting to kind of dig into this internally with her, because of the last session we had where she was doing like a bad doctor and making promises she couldn't guarantee, and Vernon took very, very overt and very plain exception to Tola speaking for everyone else. And there was a moment there, because I do kind of, I inhabit the character headspace and I method. And at that exact moment, in my head, Tola was like, but we're Une. We know better. And so like she's got like some weird like prejudice and like bigotry that's starting to surface, and so I need to dig more into that. But like I think that she thinks, and I think that Ren's resurgence and presence as an ancient, a precursor Une, is kind of reinforcing that for her. She's like, we were brought back because we're Une, and we're better than everyone else because we're Une. And so she, like, her morality is evolving a little bit, and I have to dig more into that. So I mean that it started to surface. It is a negative trait. It's not something that I espouse as a person. There was a negative trait of drinking myself to death. Also, I have a tendency to revert back to the war days when there are no rules or ethics.
yeah, because
War crimes.
Yeah, because he slept with his mom.
to be fair, that's not a war crime. That was a crime of passion. Trust gone.
Oh god.
No, let's be honest. Vernon's mom initiated
She did.
every last instance of that.
No, just the
Yeah,
She
Chris.
initiated.
This is why we don't let the DM drink when it's Chris. No, not really.
Okay,
Uh,
but that was my answer. Is that I'm not. I can't say for sure whether that's her only major flaw, but right now that's the one that's most preeminent. Is she's dealing with some my ethics are better than your ethics, so I should be the one making the decisions kind of things. And it may or may not be tied into I'm an Une. So
with Vernon, I have shown 2 traits that I do not think are healthy for him. The first one is, and it's because the way he died, he will not tolerate tag along, we're saving them, pet minions that used to. We're not gonna Vegeta this shit or Piccolo this shit. Vernon will just axe it and be like, no, we can't have a damn puppy, and just move on type thing, because he let someone go once, and beyond just him dying, he saw what happened over the course of 20 years of him being gone and what that person did to everybody. He does, there is no,
like even the people that was under his employ.
like the fact that Mort made flesh golems out of people's children that Vernon remembered as kids. Like the reason Jed getting on, or I shouldn't say Jed, but Reggie getting onto Vernon about fuck this, the whole guys is over. There's people in jail cells. I don't care what's 3 feet down the road. These are like my friend's these are my friend's kids. These are like the grandkids of the folks who helped raise me, and now they look old as hell. Like he's like the fucking ruse is over because he's a folk hero. Like that was his whole thing when he was alive, is if something happened, he fixed it because it had to be fixed. And that kind of that whole like I'm not gonna let this happen again is going to continue with him. So if like Tola starts promising like bad guys, like we don't want to be the monsters, we'll spare you, he's like, I am the goddamn monster under your bed. Bang. Like he will do that because, as he said, someone's a son of a bitch to everybody. He's not worried about what some religious zealots think. He's not going to be worried about another town's opinion of him. If this is what we have to do to move on, he'll do it. And that kind of played in when he first woke up, that he just straight up started walking the fuck out. Like he didn't, like everybody started talking for 15 minutes and Vernon's just gone. He's like, fuck it. I was brought back from the dead to do something. I don't think someone wasted energy to resurrect me from the dead to debate. Would Jed throw out?
Not crimes. There is no NATO. No one can determine what is okay. If no one survives, no one can say what happened. That is the thought process that creeps up in Reggie's head.
Reginald, first son of luck, perpetrator of non-reported war crimes because no survivors.
If no one survives, where do the stories
I mean, that I do think that as we further develop, I think that whenever Drew will be going through that whole like quest for basically whoever that she's gonna have to go just like up against, I do notice that she's not super standoffish, but I do notice that like Reggie basically addresses all of us as like a unit because he is the captain and such. So it's just basically that everybody has their own, you know, like place in the ranking. And I think that Drew feels like as if that she is basically like sort of like Reginald's not personal guard, but just like right hand there.
You're like the bosun. You're the enforcer.
Yeah, like right.
Your first sergeant.
Yeah.
Right, but I am a sage background because then that basically like an early, you know, like concept that I had was basically, which is basically like early on up in her career or studying or just whatever, then that she was basically, she had lost really, really badly, and then that there was somebody that had blew up the classroom, and then that she basically had to get strong and stuff, that was an early concept.
He said war is war, son.
True. Well, connected with that, also the other negative trait that Vernon has is don't speak for him. He was raised in a society that had democracy, with the Baron getting elected to be the mayor and always winning type situation, and was always say, we're doing this for your good, or I know more than you, so I'm going to do this for you. And that just starts to be nails on a chalkboard for him. If someone goes, oh yes, this is what the party's going to do. It's like, man, dang on, didn't fucking talk to us. Like, it's...
Which again is player to player. I don't want to tread on anybody's toes. That was unexpected of Tola's mindset there. Like,
Well, no,
it crept
this
up on
having
her,
some
so.
type of inter-party personality issues is going to cause one person to grow character-wise, or the character to grow. Or somebody shoots somebody, and next thing you know, dang on, she shot him with a magic missile, everybody!
Which, looking ahead, I think it would take an awful damn lot of Vernon being in Tola's face for Tola to be the one to hit first. She'll back down. She might not let go of whatever she's feeling, but she's not going to initiate something that could potentially spiral out of control.
The whole reason Vernon's not going to throw a fist at anybody is we all got resurrected together for a reason.
Right.
But he will call you a jackass if he thinks you're
Right.
being a jackass.
And that's kind of what I'm like trying to process with Tola right now is like, what's the immediate outcome of the clash that her ethics, such as they may or may not be, were compared to being called out by Vernon. And so like it's in process. That's why I can't say for sure what the outcome is, because I try to let these things happen and like develop organically. But
Right.
The
I
thing
am
that's-
aware of it.
If there is a confrontation, things are going to be funny. Is here's this very large Une,
Yeah.
and here's a purple Muppet with a mustache.
So Lavandra's toxic trait is that she spent $200 or 200 gold of your money drinking.
This is, you know what? Fully expect and understood that one.
Yeah.
Like I think the best way to put
it's
her
not a
toxic.
flaw. It's not a
I think the
flaw.
best way to put that negative aspect is, I have no impulse control. She is
She
just
does not.
she's just the ADD.
Yeah.
Like the way I have played, like this is going on a tangent because she is a very minor character in this. But Lavandra is definitely
Don't
like,
call her a minor. She's an adult.
she is an adult. She is.
She would punch you for that because she is a halfling.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, and you'd be like,
Oh shit! Oh dang!
why is there 15 gold in my anus?
My guts! My guts
All right,
are rearranged.
all right, so
Anyway.
you were saying.
So anyway, yeah. So like the way I play her, her biggest toxic trait is like she grew up poor her whole life, and as someone that grew up not very wealthy my whole life, you have to kind of learn how to spend money. It sounds weird, but yeah. So every time that Lavandra has money, she's like, I have money now, I can spend it.
Yeah.
And she falls into that mindset. It's like, I have a lot of money, so therefore it's unlimited. Wait a minute. I don't
It's
have
gone
money now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, before we just move on, just basically, I think that the not necessarily toxic or negative, but then I have seen that this trope downplayed a lot with just like Art and Fink is basically just like, oh, that that the Awoken, that they do all of these great things. I never knew how much, and then that it's that you are doing an excellent job playing just into that he is supposed to be this big history know-it-all, but then that he has never really seen us in action. That it's just kind of like that the people that just only know somebody based on the surface level from like books and stuff and
Yeah,
never
well,
really seen them.
Art and Fink is very clinical. Like
At least we didn't fail him. It wasn't, they're amazing. Oh no, I was wrong.
Right.
No, he's like, well, if you die, you die again.
I do like the kind of the two-toned aspect just overall in the world building and in the portrayal of like NPCs and
Oh yeah.
of the ancestor worship compared to how Awoken from the tombs are viewed. Like there's some that the two are one and the same. Ancestors or ancestors reawoken, doesn't matter, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And then there's like the Commonwealth where ancestor worship is one thing and the Awoken are just talking zombies is all they are to them. And that is, it's a very nice, I like the multiple layers of dichotomies and stuff that you're getting out there.
Thank you. It's something that we were, like, me and Nate were thinking about, like, animism, ancestor worship, like, spirit worship were, like, the biggest things that I thought was interesting, because it's not something you usually see as much in fantasy. Like, a lot of fantasy, like, in D&D and in tabletop RPG is just, oh, we're going to do, like, you know, our pantheons, where it's like, yeah, we got the sun god, and we got the moon god, and we got the god of death, and then, you know, here, there, everywhere. And I don't hate that system.
Yeah,
It's not bad. It's just like, when I was coming out with this, I was like, me and Nate were like, we want something weird, and we want something that's like a little bit out of left field.
he says, still trying to not yell out, in the name of me!
And, like, ancestor worship is something that is grounded in reality, as well as, like, other things like animism and
And I think that, like, I don't want to speak for too many other, like, game creators and stuff, but I think that maybe the reason that there hasn't been a lot of, like, ancestor worship kind of codified into a TTRPG is because there might be some, like, cultural, they don't want to be culturally insensitive to existing, you know, spirit-based religions.
On my end, the reason that I just make every campaign religion agnostic is your God's there.
Yeah.
I do that because it is less of a hassle for me as a DM. It's like, well, my pantheon, yeah, sure. But don't you have an official pantheon of your world? I picked like 12 gods, yes, but
I just made
in the world today, there's somebody that worships a plate of spaghetti, unironically, because that meme's been around so long.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, if you want to have a deity that is, I worship a Betamax, I'm like, I'm going to allow it, but I am going to say that's going to be a chaotic alignment.
Yeah.
Because those things would eat your tapes.
Yep.
Yeah. The biggest thing when it comes to, like, certain types of worship is just, I'm trying to take the spirit of the idea and not necessarily,
as long as
like,
you're not ripping wholesale from existing things.
Like, it's something that we talked about in Backwoods Obscura when it comes to, like, getting anywhere close to Native American.
There's not, because the colonists did a damn decent job of what they intended to, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of native resources because also they didn't write it down, they passed it down orally. And I feel appropriative if we were to start, like, one of the things on the list is the Cherokee versus Bigfoot, because that is an interesting as hell story from Oklahoma in the mid 1800s. I haven't touched that one yet because I feel that it needs to be handled slightly differently. It's like, I have Damballa and Iowedo over printed out somewhere on my desk right now, and the reason that I've skipped that for 4 times that we've done stuff is I want to make sure that my notes are done right to where it's there's respect in it, while I'm also coming at it from more of a skeptic / academic look at it. But before we get too far on a bunny trail, last question.
Yep.
What is your absolute favorite moment from the first season of Darrowan?
That's a hard one.
Well, I mean, my favorite was the brick house encounter.
That was a good encounter.
Yeah.
Explain why you love the brick house encounter so much.
Because I think everyone in the room, including myself, was, like, worried.
We were fucking scared. It was like, I think you did a really good job with the setting, the staging, the actual positioning of your enemies and how things were set up, but also just the sheer balancing of having a troll-esque boss and a bunch of minions causing chaos. It was really it was a really well balanced and well created.
I do like Chris's direction on how to make that terrain for him.
Mm-hmm.
Just put a bunch of fucking tombstones on it.
Which
Yeah.
you did, and you did a good job. You put a bunch of fucking
Yeah, I can't take
tombstones
too much credit because like the layout of it was mostly Hewitt's
He
direction.
did not tell me, don't make paths. He didn't say make paths like this. He didn't say add this. He just goes, just put a bunch of fucking tombstones on it. And I was like, okay.
It's like I trust him, you know.
And so then I made that, just like Jed for next time we play. He goes, make a cave. And I go, okay.
banging your mom. That's what Jed said. Banging
That
your
is
mom.
again, that is on Chris, like 100%. Like the whole reason I played with it is because I thought it'd be funny for Vernon to be moderately annoyed about it. But it's more like, oh my god, Mom, you're doing this in front of you're doing one of my friends.
You see, he's like sitting there laughing about it, but I'm playing a bard now.
I think my favorite moment thus far was Ren talking to the guy that Vernon shot after Tola tried to offer him clemency, and just asking him questions about his family life and his family's like favorite recipes. Like that I'm still not over that, and it's such a good character moment that does nothing for plot but does everything for character.
Yeah, it's just a moment to both role play and just learn a little bit about the world and some of the people.
I think that my favorite moment, it was going to be like liberating the town of New Hope, but just to echo off of about a character role play moment is that whenever then that we were doing the whole like sliding down the rope thing, it just shows that the two dichotomies are basically that the bookish sage versus the jock sage. It's just like Tola is just trying to be calculative while Drusilla is just like, nope, let's jump.
I was thinking about that one, but I couldn't get away from the Ren moment. Like that was gonna be mine too. It's like I'm just like
Because go on.
He said, I also really enjoyed the town of New Hope and the posse we rallied. He says, Brick House was epic, though. It let me, so the town of New Hope, it let me feel really epic as the legend that I am.
I mean, yeah, I mean that that the legend and worship of just Sir Reginald. I swear that you need to make a Reginald Bucky's with just little bitty miniature
Oh.
Reginald.
Oh no, they set that. We set that on fire already.
Yeah.
That's actually
No, that's just at the fake dollar store version.
It's called a Reggie's, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
And instead of a beaver, it's a lemur.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that, but I still think that whatever that you have cooking for like Drusilla, I know then that's going to be
Oh, I have.
interesting.
We haven't heard Hewitt's
Oh,
favorite
yeah,
moment
sure.
yet.
my favorite moment is burning down the fake museum and casino.
We had heard Hewitt's favorite moment.
Well, I mean, the reason it's my favorite moment is not because we actually did it, and I know Jed did not think that was his actual helmet. Like, I know Chris did not probably convince Jed, but Jed played along with it so much. But the crushed look on Reginald's face when he grabs his helmet and it crumples into just wadded up
Paper
tin in
mache.
his hand, and he's like, "We're burning the motherfucker down." Like, just at first I thought he'd be like, all right, I'm mad, I'm gonna go like punch one person that's responsible for this, but he's like, no, there's a whole false religion dedicated to me. We're ending this now.
Let's go.
And Vernon, who grew up and the Sons of Luck were always there, like literally didn't care. That's not what his family
He said
worshipped.
it had to happen.
It's not like there was no personal connection for Vernon to that temple. That's why when he said, we're not burning the town down, it's like, we're burning this temple down. This is dedicated to him. He has a right to do that. We just got to make sure we don't, like, Vernon would have constantly pushed people out. Oh, we got a new window that opened, that's all. It's trying to tell me to buy my video editing program that I'm not, because I found a new one.
DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, DaVinci Resolve's pretty decent.
Yeah.
The only reason I still got the old one is there's a couple things I need it for. But, so again, it's my favorite thing is because Jed's face when it
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah,
That was a very good role play moment. I'm gonna do some runner ups because I know Nathan isn't here, and the wing challenge that Nathan did as Ren was pretty good. I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed like sort of the role play between you and Bluegill and just in general in the town. I thought was really fun.
oh yeah, that the town was
Um,
fun.
And I also just, I mean, in terms of I feel like this was one of the better I mean, obviously the campaign isn't over, but it's like I feel like it's a good wrap on like an arc
Yeah,
that it introduced y'all to the world. It introduced y'all got to bring yourself, like, familiarize yourself with everything, and then y'all jump straight into like one of the main portions of what y'all are going to be doing, which is like kind of discovering more about yourself and like learning more about your character, while at the same time battling something that might be trying to threaten life and lineage.
Well, like we know we have an idea of what the stakes could be, but we
Right.
still don't know like how deep this is gonna have to go, or how much we're gonna have to potentially destroy to get ahead of the curve.
Pretty much.
right.
The state that we're just beginning to get a glimpse of the ultimate like goal, the ultimate end point. Like I feel like there's still a lot of question why.
Right, because
Who's
that
that?
for me,
My child playing on his Lego table on the other
Because-
side of the wall.
because that both of us are Soulsborne fans, from Soft, like Miyazaki and his writing style. He does this nice interconnected world, and then that's basically what that this whole Darrowan, like that the whole continent feels like that, as that we go place to place and such, and then that the overall, like big bad guy that I don't have my notes with me right now.
Tarvac.
Like Tarvac. It is basically, I as that a player, I have been like expecting some, just like some type of like oh, that he is going to start like messing with just like history and stuff like that like some important person that, for example, like Drusilla may meet forgets that she had even existed, and then that he just only like, or else even better, that he might like just only like remember her as basically just like a private, and then that that's what is that he knows.
Well,
That
what
face.
the only things we know about Tarvac thus far, and where my what would be the word here? Uncertainty, discomfort, disquiet about Tarvac as the big unknown bad guy is that we first heard that he was the arch anti-magus, and then
He colorful.
and then we were told that he's deep in the tombs of Darrowan trying to find the book supposedly being the Tome of Life and Lineage, which if he gets hold of that and or destroys it, we don't know what that does.
Right.
And then the last little bits of info we got was that he's large, regal, prismatic, and ancient in that order, and that makes me think like meta and in character. That makes me think dragon. And I don't like that.
My thing is, I'm just seeing like a plus-sized Hunter Skeksis from the Netflix version of the Dark Crystal, which means
But
Like,
anyway,
I mean, the point is that there's like from this point forward, Tola's like every time we do our Speak with the Dead, every time we take a hostage, I think he just said, "Don't let your meat move."
don't let you meet love.
He
I
said,
think
"Gotta go. Don't let your meat move."
Okay.
Okay.
Take care of the kids, man. Have a good night.
we're about to be heading out.
Yeah,
too.
we're
yeah,
signing
like-
off here in
Yeah.
just a minute.
That's the main thing is like there is a lot of disquiet and a lot of concern, and from here on out, it's like we have to find somebody who's actually seen Tarvac, because up until now,
Right.
everyone we've come in contact with says that they haven't seen him.
that they just give descriptions.
and these are descriptions of like, you know, some big, you know, like, no, if you've ever seen Bill Gates up close and personal, you give a different description from somebody who just knows, oh, Bill Gates, the Microsoft
Right.
guy, he does a lot of charity.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of like differential we're getting is like I think what was her name, Rika,
Yeah.
like she told us what she told us, but I don't think we were in the right frame to like be like double triple checking her for truth at that point.
Right.
And I wonder if maybe she told us just enough, or maybe she tried to like tell us something that like set us off on a tangent or like scare us. He may just be a giant Skeksis,
I mean,
but he might also be a fucking dragon.
or else
That's-
they,
Hey,
That's
and
upsetting.
that's something we will have
Yeah.
to discover down the road.
Yeah.
So, hey, it's been a fun campaign.
It's been a fun campaign, and we will be continuing it after we do, what is it, the Cobalt Cave and Marrow. I fucked it up. After we do Goosehead Jet's campaign, we're going to be back, and we're going to be doing the second part where y'all are going into Shadesbane Vale.
Yep.
So, yeah, I hope y'all had fun listening to us, and, yeah, since Knox isn't here,
don't let your meatloaf. Comment, like, subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. See y'all later.
oh boy.
Thank you for tuning in to another Bonus Roundtable podcast brought to you by Team Bonus Action. If you'd like to find more out about us, you can go to our website at teambonusaction.com, or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube as Team Bonus Action, or on Twitter at bonus_team. And since Knox is not here, don't let your meatloaf.